Let's talk about events. Events are the core of Talescape's logic system. Basically, every single interaction that you can use inside of Talescape is powered by events. Some are created automatically by certain scene elements, and some are created manually by you. Let's quickly go into the event manager, and I will show you how to create an event from scratch. As you can see right now, we don't have any events. We can create a new one. And let me quickly walk you through the settings that every event has. First, we can give an event a name. It's very helpful to keep things in order in your story and to actually understand what the event is doing without explicitly looking into the details. Let's call this my first event. We can then decide how often this event will be run. If you select to run this once, then this will be executed only once and then never again. Then there's this checkbox. It's called sequential. There are two types of events: normal events and sequential events. The difference between a normal event and a sequential event is that the actions of a sequential event are run in sequence, so one after the other. And in the default state, so not sequential, the actions are run all at once. We will look at this in an example so you can understand this better. Then events have scopes. Right now you can decide if the scope should be the complete chapter or a scene. Chapter events can be triggered throughout the complete chapter, scene events only in a specific scene. We will do a chapter event, and then we can decide which chapter to use. We have 3 chapters right now. Let's use the prologue. Next, we can decide when this event will be triggered. We have a really long list of things that we can use here. You can use the search bar to search for specific triggers, or the filter to search for specific groups. As you can see, we have different groups of triggers here. These ones are for chapters. For example, if a chapter has ended badly, you can do something, maybe give an achievement. If a chapter has ended well, you can do something. If the chapter has started, you can, for example, give the player certain items in the inventory and so on. There are lots of triggers that you can use, and for every trigger, there's a short description so you understand what they are actually doing. Okay, let's go with the chapter has started. Next, you can decide the conditions. So what must the story state be like for these actions to take place? Again, you have a very long list. I won't go into detail here because we will look into conditions in another video, but you can check for all kinds of stuff and use this to decide certain things. Then you have actions. Again, this will be discussed in another video in a little bit more detail. Here you can decide what should happen when the event takes place and the conditions are met. For example, go to a different scene, open a detailed scene, or trigger a chapter failure because the player failed a task and now has to return to the beginning of the chapter, unlock an achievement, you name it. So for now, we won't add anything here. Let's just cancel this really quick. And I will show you another way to add events inside the scene, which will be a little bit more interesting. Let's quickly jump into this scene. And as you can see, the scene is pretty empty. For a lot of elements in Talescape, you have settings. And in these settings, there is this little bold icon, which means this scene, for example, can have events. If you click on it, you can see all events that are attached to this scene right now. And this doesn't mean all events that take place in the scene, but all events that are triggered by certain scene events. For example, if a player enters a scene or a player exits a scene. Then there are elements. I can add one here. And these also have settings. And here you have also the bold icon. You can look at it. And here you have different triggers. So for example, if the player inspects the scene element, interacts with it, or uses an item on it. You can use this to create events here and access all events that are specifically added to this element here. So let me quickly set something up here. If we inspect this element, as you can see, we will now create an event, and everything here is already filled out for us. The scene the trigger, and we now only have to add actions or conditions. So we will just add actions right now. We will just give us an item. Let's give us basil and another item. Eggplant. And also we will say something here. Wow, these are delicious ingredients or whatever. So this will now, because we chose not to make it sequential, this will now just run all in parallel. So we will get all of this at once, 2 items, and the narration will play. Can test this. We can test this, but I should put this somewhere where I can actually target it properly. And as you can see, you have now this icon. This means there is an event attached to this element. So let's go. Inspect. As you can see, everything happened at once, and we have our narration here. And let's edit the event again. Now we will make this sequential. And for this, we will move the narration. For this, we will move the narration to the top. What will happen now is the narration will play and the whole text will be displayed, and only after the text is displayed, we will get both items. You can actually add waiting time for sequential events if we want to. Wait for a certain amount of time. For example, we could just wait 1 second, or let's wait 3 seconds here before we get the eggplant. So what will happen now? The narration will play. After this, we will get the item. Then we will wait for 3 seconds, and then we will get the eggplant. Let's test this. Now we click here. The narration plays. Basil comes in. And then the eggplant. So with sequential events, you can create a sequence of different actions that take place. For example, for some kind of cutscene, or let's say the player failed the chapter and you want to give him or her kind of an outro. Then you can, for example, play a narration, change the background image, and then after this, trigger the chapter failure. So the chapter failure feels meaningful, for example. So every event that we created, we can actually look up here in the scene events. We didn't give it a name. If we did, that will be displayed here. And we can see the event here. We can edit it. We can also delete it. And this will also show up in the story events, which are here. So that's basically the same. But these are all events created in the story, and the other ones are the ones that are only available in this one scene. So there's more to talk about for conditions and actions, but I will do this in a different video.